You probably don't need more leads. I know that sounds crazy because everyone thinks, Ilya, if I just had another 100 leads, I would get a contract. But if I gave you 100 motivated sellers today, would you know what to say? Would you know how to uncover the motivation? Would you know how to negotiate? Would you even know how to handle it? I need to think about. Would you know how to handle, I want more money, I need to talk to my wife, I want to talk to other investors? Would you even know how to follow up? Because if the answer is no to any of those, then giving you more leads is just giving you more opportunities to lose leads and spend a bunch of money. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. How do you actually take the leads and turn those conversations into contracts? All right, guys, welcome back. For those who don't know me, my name is Ilya Kosilov. I'm the Investor Cop. I'm a former New York City police officer. I've been investing in real estate since 2016, and I'm the founder of Finest Mentors and a company that buys properties nationwide. And one of the biggest things I've learned over these years is real estate wholesaling. It's not just a marketing business. It's a people business. It's communication business. It's a negotiation business. It's a follow-up business. And unfortunately, a lot of new investors spend 90% of their time trying to figure out how to get leads and almost no time learning what to do when someone actually picks up the phone and says, yeah, I'm thinking about selling. So today I want to fix that. And if you're watching this live, drop a question in the comment. If you're watching the replay, I want you to comment too, because I know where you're getting stuck. It happened to me. I was guilty of it too, right? I used to chase leads and try to get more leads with a soft follow-up. So let's start with something simple. A lead is not a deal. Sometimes people celebrate getting a lead. I got 15 leads this week. Great. What happened to them? Did you make an offer? Did you follow up? Did you identify the motivation? Did you figure out what's the seller situation? Or did you just enter them into CRM and moved on to try to get more leads? Because leads don't pay you. Contracts don't even pay you. Closings pay you. So every lead needs to move through the process. And I see people skipping this all the time. They get somebody on the phone, immediately wants to know what's the lowest price you'll take, why. You don't even know what's going on yet. Before you start talking about the house, understand the human on the other line. This is my favorite, right? This is stop interrogating the seller. New acquisitions person gets somebody on the phone and goes, how many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How old's the roof? How old's the AC? What repairs does it need? What price? Boom, boom, boom. Guys, I was actually a cop. And even I don't want to call sellers sounding like an interrogation. Right? Relax, have a conversation. You have to make it sound natural. You need to just fully understand. That's what I tell people. I say, hold on, you told me this family passed away. Man, I'm so sorry. Man, it must be hard. Yeah, it is hard. Yeah, and was there a lot of stuff? Were you guys close? Start having an actual conversation. And you could ask things about the property, but don't just go down the script interrogating the people, right? I want to understand, why are we talking? Why are you considering selling? What happens? What's happening with the property? What changed? Why now? Let's give an example. Let's say the seller tells me, I'm tired of dealing with the tenants. Okay, don't immediately jump into the next question, right? Don't be a robot. I always say, don't be a bot. Like, follow the script. Ask, what's been happening with the tenants? What's going on with tires? What's causing you to be tired with the tenants? And the seller will probably tell me something like, they haven't paid me in 3 months. Now we have something, right? Wow. Have you started the eviction process? No, I haven't. Wait a second. How long have you owned this property? Now we're talking. Now I understand the pain. The seller's not selling because he woke up and decided that he hates his house. He's selling because he has a major problem. And our job is to understand that problem and solve it for them. Deeper questions. The script is not the conversation. Now let's talk about the scripts. I believe in scripts. I train in scripts. Scripts are important, but some people become slaves to the script The sellers tell you something extremely important and you ignore it because you're trying to get the questions down, right? I'm trying to get to question number 7. I need to get to question number 8. This is not how it works. We can go off track the script to go into deeper conversations because sometimes the sellers will actually reveal something to you. I inherited this property and my brother and I have been arguing about this for a couple months. Stop. This is the conversation, right? Hey, tell me a little bit about that. That might be one of the most important questions you'll ask the seller. Tell me more about that. And then shut up. Let him speak. One of the biggest mistakes acquisitions people make is they talk too much. And I see this all the time. Some people are so busy trying to prove that they know real estate that they stop listening. They're trying to show that they're the expert and they miss the key words, right? Because especially when you're doing a virtual acquisition, you're not on the phone, you're not in face-to-face. So you have to pick up on the small key words, phrases, or issues that they state. And those will open up doorways for you to really uncover the true motivation. Because let's be serious, right? When you're calling somebody, you're not going to call them and give them everything right off you don't know them, they're strangers. I'm not going to tell you my personal business, why I'm bad with finances, or maybe I have a gambling issue and I lost all my money, now I can't pay the mortgage, and my wife's already arguing with me, now the kids want to leave me, my wife wants to leave. I'm not going to open that up to a complete stranger. But they're asking questions and understanding, right? You're in a people business. You're trying to understand people's situation. You're trying to make sure that people are helped. We're not in here to lowball. And I offer a service that can help people solve their issues. They're complicated. This is why they're calling you, right? So understand those things. You need to understand your homeowners. Find the problem before you give the solution. And think about this. Imagine you go into a doctor. You walk into the office, you sit down, the doctor walks in, and before he tells you anything, he hands you a prescription. You'd say, "Doctor, you don't even know what's wrong with me." But this is exactly how some investors sell. The seller answers hello, and immediately, "Hey, we buy cash, well, we can close it in 7 days, no commission." I'm like, what are you talking about? Slow down. What if they don't need 7 days? What if they need 60 days? What if they don't care about cash? What if the biggest concern is finding somewhere else to live? What if they have tenants? What if the property is inherited? What if there's a probate issue, right? There's a title issue. What if they need a certain amount of money to move? Every seller has different problem. And sometimes the best solution isn't wholesale. It might be innovation. It might be creative financing. It might be something else. But I can't determine the solution until I understand the problem. So make sure to understand those issues. And people, I want to move on to this next segment here, next part. I want you guys to write this down. If you're watching this live, if you're watching this later, write this down. There are 4 things I want you to understand. Almost every seller calls. Why are they selling? On every seller call, I want to know, why are they selling? Why now? What problems are they trying to solve, and what is pertaining from them to move from moving forward? If I don't understand those 4 things, I probably don't understand the deal yet. And notice, I'd say, what's their asking price? Price matters, of course, but the motivation tells me how serious the situation is. Somebody could tell me, "I want $400,000." Okay. But if they absolutely have to sell in the next 30 days because of a major situation, now we have a conversation. Another person can tell me, "I'll take $250," great. But maybe they have absolutely no reason to sell. They're just finishing, they paid off their house. Which seller should I spend more time with? Think about this. Who? The first one or the second one? You have to understand the motivation. Some people want to sell, some people need to sell. And some people absolutely have to sell because they're in a time crunch. So we need to identify those things. And check this out, right? There's some sellers that sometimes want way too much money. So let's get into the price. Because everybody wants to know, what do I say when the seller wants too much? First thing, stop arguing. Seller says, "I want $350," and the property makes sense at $260. Some investors immediately say, "Your house isn't worth that." Great, way to destroy rapport. Instead, get curious. Okay, Mr. Seller, help me understand. How'd you come up with the 350? Let me tell you. Maybe they say, oh, the house down the street sold for 350. Okay. Was their property renovated? I think so. Great. Did they have a new kitchen? Yes. How about a new roof? Yes. How about a pool? Yes. And yours needs a new kitchen, roof, and AC, correct? Now, who's explaining the difference? The seller is, not you. Now you turn the tables, and now the seller has to explain, why is your house worth that much? If their neighbor's house sold for X amount of dollars and it was in perfect condition, how are they expecting to get you 350, right? How did they expect you to pay that amount, 350,000? So that's important. Negotiating is not about beating someone in an argument. Negotiating is understanding how they arrived at their position and helping them look at the situation realistically. Negotiation isn't argument. Negotiation is understanding. So let's cover this one here. I need to think about. A lot of people get stuck with that. All right. Here comes everyone's favorite. When the seller tells you, I need to think about. How many of you guys heard that before? If you're watching this live, think about it in the comments, guys. I used to get stuck in that one all the time. Like, okay, you got to think about it. All right, sounds good. I'll call you later. And they never pick up. Here's what beginners do, right? He says, I need to think about it. Okay, no problem. I'll call you next week. Why? What are they thinking about? You don't even know. You just let them off the phone. Ask. You don't have to be aggressive. You can simply ask, absolutely, Mr. Seller, I completely understand. Just so I know when I follow up with you, what specifically do you need to think about? That question can uncover the real objection. Maybe it's price. Maybe their wife doesn't know. Maybe another investor already made an offer. Maybe they're scared to make a decision. Maybe they don't trust you. Now you know the problem, right? The actual problem. And once I know the problem, I can solve it. We're problem solvers. This is what we do. So identify their hidden objections. That's what I like to call them, hidden objections. And when they say, I need to think about it, it's either price, time, motivation, trust, or something else. And then once they tell us, we know, and we move on. So, part number 8. I love this. I need to talk to my spouse. Okay, fair enough, Mr. Seller. But absolutely, what do you think she's going to say? That's a great question. Maybe he says she thinks we should list it first. Perfect. Now I know the real issue. Or maybe I'll ask, is she available? Guys, sometimes it's really that simple. Like, is she available now? Can we get on a 3-way call? We've done this so many times before. Yeah, I think she's home. She doesn't work. All right, cool. Let's get her on. But we're so afraid of being pushy that we let sellers off the phone before we even understand what's happening. Being professional and asking questions is not being pushy. Pressuring is when you're trying to force someone into something that doesn't make sense for them. This is not what we're doing. We're trying to understand the situation. And honestly, I'm trying to understand their situation to eliminate myself. If I'm not the right service, I don't want to work with you. And I tell them in the beginning, when we first call, we set the stage, say, Mr. Seller, at the end of this phone call, whether I make an offer or I qualify you and understand if I'm the best fit for you, I'll let you know. If I'm not, I'm going to point you to other resources, and that's completely okay. At least we gave it a shot. And people are like, wow, like that's amazing. Like usually people tell me, I need to sign right now. You're telling me that you don't even want to buy it if it doesn't make sense? Exactly. Right? I want to work with people who want to work with me. I don't want somebody to sign a contract and then the next day feel like, oh man, I got pressured in, I got sold, I got suckered into this thing. Man, how am I going to do this? I don't want to work with those people. I've been there before. It's a terrible feeling. I would rather work with motivated homeowners who truly need to sell their properties and they're choosing and picking our company due to our reputation, what we have as a solution, what we can provide. So another thing I want to mention to you guys, when you guys are doing acquisition, stop saying just following up. Now I've got to talk about follow-up. Please stop calling yourself, hey, I'm just following up, just checking in, just touching base. Nobody's sitting at home waiting for an investor to touch base with them. Like, let's be real. Get yourself a reason to call. Let's say last time John told you, my tenant's supposed to move out on August 15th. My follow-up is, hey John, last time we spoke, you mentioned the tenant was supposed to move out around the 15th. Did everything work out? That feels completely different, doesn't it? Why? Because it tells John, I listened, or last time we spoke, you mentioned you wanted to talk to your brother about the property you inherited. Were you guys able to figure this out? That's a follow-up. You're communicating the conversation, not restarting it every time. You're bringing up what they told you, and it's gonna trigger a memory. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Wow, this guy really paid attention to me. He understands my situation. One of the biggest mistakes I see people declaring a lead dead too quickly. Man, seller says, I'm not ready, dead lead. I want to try to list it, dead lead. I need a little bit more money, dead lead. Guys, life changes. Tenants stop paying, realtor doesn't sell the house, the property sits on the market, the roof starts to leak, the seller moves, their plans change, and 3 months later, the seller may be completely different. But if you disappeared, guess who gets the lead? The investor that does the follow-up. We had literally homeowners who told us, yeah, I'm not interested. You guys are gonna come in way too low. This offer will never work. I'm gonna list it. And they did. They listed it for like a year and a half. It didn't sell. And they called us back saying, hey, are you guys still interested in selling and buying this property? And we were able to lock in that deal because we followed up, automatic text messages, and they received one of the texts, and then they saw it, and they said, you know what, these guys are still interested. Our realtor can't sell this property. Now, let me say something to the beginners. You're gonna be bad at first. That's okay. Your first calls are probably gonna be awkward. You're gonna get hung up on, and you might even think like, why did I start? Why did I say that? You're gonna forget questions. You're gonna lose deals. You're gonna think the perfect response 2 hours later. In your bed, you're gonna be tossing and turning. Remember, like, I should have said that. That would have got the seller to agree to that contract. Welcome to sales. Like, this is it, guys. We all pass through it, and that's okay. That's how you learn, by making mistakes, right? A baby has to fall 1,000 times before the baby can get up and start taking steps. When I became a police officer, you don't walk out of the academy on day one knowing how to handle every situation. You get experience, you get reps, you learn. Same thing in acquisitions. Talking to sellers, reviewing your calls, listening to your previous calls is so important. You'll hear mistakes, or you might even catch some information that the seller was telling you before, and you're like, yo, I completely missed that. Or you're talking too much, you can order yourself. Or did the seller give you information you missed? Where did you lose rapport? Where did you rush? Where did you fail to ask questions? That's how you improve. And so now let's go back to the beginning. Do you actually need more leads? Maybe. Marketing is absolutely important. You need opportunities. But if your conversations are terrible, adding more leads just makes the problem more expensive. Imagine you're spending $5,000 a month to generate leads, and your acquisition process is terrible. So you say, marketing isn't working. So you spend $10,000. Now you're losing twice as much money. like the problem's still there, but you just now spend double the money. Sometimes instead of increasing marketing, we need to increase skills. So here's what I want to do. For the next 7 days, stop judging yourself only by how many contracts you get. I want you to focus on improving quality of your conversations. After every qualified seller call, write down, why are you selling? Why now? What problems are they trying to solve? What's preventing them from moving forward? And what is my next follow-up? So it's 5 things. If you can't answer those 5 questions after a seller calls, go back and figure out what you missed. Because this business gets a lot easier when you stop chasing houses and start understanding people. All right? I want to see you guys win as usual. If you guys are working on the first deal here, if you got some warm leads, I want you in the comments, guys, after this review, just put first deal. Because I want to see, there's some people who might be watching this video who've been in the game for 5 years, and they're killing it, and they just want to sharpen up their tools, right, to get a little better. And there's people who have never done their first deal. So drop a comment, first deal, or if you're actually an experienced investor, put scaling up. But figure this out, apply those things, and crush it. God bless you guys. Take care.